Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in and welcome back to another episode of the Carnivore Kitchen podcast. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and today we're going to be having some ground beef and discussing how to effectively design an exercise program. And if you want to learn how to make a delicious, thick and juicy burger patty, then check out the recipe link in the description. The name of today's episode is How to Design an Exercise Program. When designing an exercise program, ensuring that your exercise program is reflective of the goal that you are trying to accomplish and knowing how to manipulate your acute exercise variables will be of the utmost importance if you want to be as effective and efficient as possible. When it comes to goals, there are an infinite amount of goals that one may have, but they are all going to fall into one of three broad categories. People either want to look better, feel better, or perform better. And when it comes to manipulation of acute exercise variables, we have 6 of them, and those 6 acute exercise variables are sets, repetitions, intensity, tempo, time under tension, and rest. For someone who has never written an exercise program before, this may seem very overwhelming, but understanding the inverse and direct relationships between these acute exercise variables will make designing an exercise program incredibly simple. Simply put, an inverse relationship is one in which acute exercise variables are moving in opposite directions. One example is the inverse relationship between sets and repetitions, which means the higher the number of repetitions you perform, the fewer the number of sets you will perform. A direct relationship, on the other hand, is the opposite. As one acute exercise variable increases, so does the other, and as one acute exercise variable decreases, so does the other. In total, we have 7 inverse relationships and 7 direct relationships. The 7 inverse relationships are the relationships between sets and repetitions, between sets and time under tension, repetitions and intensity, repetitions and tempo, repetitions and rest, intensity and time under tension and rest periods. The 7 direct relationships are the relationships between sets and intensity, sets and tempo, sets and rest, rest and time under tension, intensity and tempo, intensity and rest, and tempo and rest. Going back to the goal, for the purposes of this podcast, we are going to focus on 5 training goals: relative strength, absolute strength, hypertrophy, strength endurance, and postural correction. Relative strength is how strong you are relative to how much you weigh, and is very important for weight-based sports such as wrestling, MMA, boxing, and powerlifting, or sports where being light is beneficial such as gymnastics or figure skating. Absolute strength is your overall strength and is very important for sports where being as strong as possible is important and there is no weight limit, such as sumo wrestling, strongman competitions, super heavyweight MMA fighters, heavyweight boxing, and those types of sports. Hypertrophy training is muscle building. It will be very important for athletes who want to increase their weight and their musculature, and will be beneficial for sports where there is no weight limits and where being heavier is beneficial, such as bodybuilding, football, hockey, and rugby. Strength endurance is your ability to perform a task and maintain effort over a prolonged period of time, and will be beneficial for sports such as boxing, swimming, long-distance running, boxcar racing, and rowing. Lastly, postural correction is necessary to maintain a strong and healthy body and to prevent injury. For professional athletes, postural correction will be beneficial to incorporate at the end of the season or after a final event in order to correct any postural imbalances that were created during the repetitive nature of the training for the sport, and to ensure that the chance of injury during subsequent training sessions or competitions is minimized. For non-athletes, postural correction can be incorporated as part of your training on a regular basis, or you can dedicate entire blocks of training toward postural correction. To train for relative strength, some general guidelines that you can follow are 6 to 12 sets, 1 to 5 repetitions, 80 to 130% intensity, and the tempo, you want to incorporate slower eccentric training and pauses at the bottom position to remove momentum. The time under tension should be anywhere from 0 to 20 seconds, and you should rest anywhere from 180 to 300 seconds. To train for absolute strength, some general guidelines that you could follow are 5 to 10 sets of 6 to 8 repetitions, the intensity should be between 70 to 85%, and the tempo, you want to incorporate slower eccentrics and pauses at the top position to increase your load. The time under tension should be 20 to 40 seconds, and you should rest between 120 to 180 seconds. To train for hypertrophy, some general guidelines that you can follow are 4 to 8 sets, 9 to 12 repetitions, 60 to 75% intensity, and the tempo should be between a 2-to-1 and 4-to-1 ratio between eccentric and concentric phases, with no pauses to maintain tension on the muscle. The time under tension should be 40 to 70 seconds per set, and you should rest 90 to 120 seconds. To To train for strength endurance, some general guidelines that you can follow are 3 to 6 sets, 13 or more repetitions, 30 to 65% intensity, and the tempo should be 1-to-1 ratio between eccentric and concentric phases with no pauses. The time under tension should be 70 to 180 seconds per set, and you should rest 10 to 90 seconds. And if you are training for postural correction, some general guidelines that you can follow are 1 to 3 sets, 1 static hold for a repetition, or 50 to 100 dynamic repetitions. The intensity should be up to 30%. The tempo, you can do either 1 static hold or fast repetitions of 1 repetition per second. The time under tension, you want to accumulate at least 180 seconds of time under tension, and you should rest up to 45 seconds. Those are just some general guidelines you can use in order to write an effective exercise program. As you become more advanced, you can start to break away from those guidelines, but if you are a beginner, select the blueprint that best aligns with your goal and stay within those basic parameters if you want to look better, feel better, and perform better.
Thanks for hanging around until the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like the video and comment down in the comment section, as it would really help out with the algorithm. And also share this video so we can help get this information out to as many people as possible. And also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the icon in the bottom right hand corner and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos. For those of you interested in health optimization, you can check out the video in the top right corner where I discuss the 6 foundation principles. And for those of you interested in optimizing your performance, then consider becoming a member. It's only $5 per month, and you get a ton of perks, including exclusive access to this program design lecture series playlist above my head.